The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Are turning in themselves to the military authority. The development is being hailed as military victory following renewed onslaught on the terror groups. But some keen observers of the 12-year insurgency war are insisting that it is the culmination of a power struggle within the jihadist movement and the start of a new and more dangerous phase that is leading to this gale of surrender. According to the defense headquarters, more than 1,000 Boko Haram terrorist fighters and their families have handed themselves over to army units in 2 weeks. In Borno State, precisely in Konduga, Bama, and Mafa, including what the military has described as the group's chief bomb expert. And they say hundreds of more fighters are said to have surrendered across the border in neighbouring Cameroon. And of course, in Rash ceremonies, we can see how troops are giving food and clothes to some men holding some kind of placards with the inscription, "Nigerians, please forgive us. Peace is the only way. Surrender and leave." The military said massive surrendering is the result of a recent escalation of offensive operations. The acting Director of Defense Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Onyoko, stated during the bi-weekly update on the armed forces of Nigerian operation across the country that many arrests have also been made. He disclosed that the troops also arrested terrorist collaborators and recovered large quantity of arms and ammunition from various offensives. But some Nigerians argue that the large scale of defections surrender is not unconnected with the aftermath of the death of Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau, who was killed in May at his Sambisa forest base in southern Borno by the breakaway Islamic State in West Africa province, a group headed by Abu Musab al-Banawi, a young and increasingly charismatic figure. Al-Banawi was one of the key men behind the split with Shekau in 2016. He opposed Shekau's indiscriminate violence and the predatory nature of his followers. And since then, ISWAP has pursued a more politically savvy hearts and minds approach in the regions of northern Borno and Yobe State. It is said to be controlling. And of course, the big issue of the day is whether the gale of surrender is as a result of military onslaught or the infighting between the terror groups.
Yeah.
Can you give us an insight into this?
Well, the way I see it, I don't see any difference between Boko Haram and ISWAP. They are all the same and pursuing the same agenda, which is the Islamization. Number one, they've stated it in several videos. In terms of defection or surrenders, of course, I know the heat is much. The military have stepped up. They've received a lot of modern equipment. They've stepped up. They've rejigged their operations. They've stepped up offensives. they've taken the war to them in their enclaves. You remember some years back, military will tell you they've killed Shekau, they've done this, but they never really took the fight to him in the forest. They will compete, they'll tell you the terrain is not good, they cannot really push in. But of course, now with the bombing, and of course, another thing, the synergy among the service chiefs. Formerly, the service chiefs were not really working together, and we kept complaining that the services were not working in unity. This service wants to take responsibility, wants to claim, I did this, I did that. But now, with the coming of the new chiefs, they brought all the services have brought together their comparative advantages, and they formed a strong team that is actually making the Boko Haram terrain very hot
for them now.
So I don't think it's because of the infighting. The infighting is there, but of course, in whose interest? Is it that of Nigerians? No. The infighting is just selfish interest amongst them. Who to get what? That's my own submission. For me, it is a military offensive, but we still need more. We want to see more results.
Well, Silas, you heard what Taka said. But the thinking out there is that following the death of Shakau, the ISWAP leaders, especially its commander, Abanawi, asked most of those Boko Haram commanders under Shekau to take a decision. And most of those Boko Haram commanders under Shekau had to submit themselves to Abanawi, the ISWAP leader, and pledge their loyalty to him. And those who could not, other members of Boko Haram who could not, were given a time limit to either surrender or they get killed. And since then, most of these Boko Haram members have been running out, submitting themselves to the military because of the fear of being killed by the ISWAP that has a different orientation and different ideology in their operations altogether from the Boko Haram terrorist group. What do you think about this?
Well, there's something that Taka said that is whose interest. Fine. The way I see it is that they are confronted with a lot of tough choices. Okay, the Buhari members who are surrendering, they face a lot of tough choices, and those tough choices they're looking at what is the best option for them. Okay, between the devil and the deep sea. Now their own leader is dead, and they are facing a leader that that's not their own, and it's either you accept or you go. And then you don't even know whether if you accept, whether they'll trust you. Okay, that's playing their mind. Look, what if I submit to this guy, this new people? Even though they were one before, they only separated on the basis of approach. The Abnami people were Abnami and Zoo, which pledged its alliance to ISIS. Okay, making them more a global terrorist group. Okay, they felt a bit that Shekau was a bit too bloody. He's killing his own people, killing Muslims as well. So they felt that he was going overboard, and effort to make him check his ways is not materializing anything positive. So they probably can pledge allegiance to ISIS, and then carry on their own. So those are what the military need to do is to kind of bring in all those who are surrendering, check them out, and find out what is the main purpose for surrendering and what kind of groups are they coming from. Are they all formerly of Shekau's group, or also members of ISWAP among those who are surrendering? So I believe that they're going to interrogate them critically to find out the purpose, whether they are living because of that or whether it is because of the onslaught of the military. I want to agree with Taka that actually it's too much of that Shekau was killed. Okay? Yeah. And then it's a long time for them to say that because I'm sure they will not give them such a long period. They would like to have immediate allegiance. And a lot of them actually then surrendered and joined his own group. So coming on this long after, I tend to believe more that it's actually that the military assault is getting too much for them. Okay, and they're also not sure of their new bedmates. They're not sure that going forward that it's a very delicate line they're doing, and the person they need to look up to for inspiration, for direction is no longer there. So that is some safe page for those that are going to be.
And for me, I think those guys are very smart. They feel if you surrender to the military, based on UN conventions, the military will not have that mind to kill you.
Okay, so
But to those guys, going to those people that camp, if they don't trust you, you are gone.
they're gone.
So they know
Then
there are laws of arms conflict that regulates the military
Yes.
against such acts. So they feel
No,
instead
but-
of me staying in the bush to die, why can't I go to the military, submit these weapons,
And to be protected somehow.
and then of course they will give you that protection. And if
Yes.
there's amnesty, if there's any amnesty, of course you're going to enjoy all the benefits. That's their thinking.
So yeah.
That is their thinking.
Well, Taka, what you just said now,
That
so
is their
that's
thinking.
what Taka is saying now. I think there is an
Those guys are
admission
very
now
smart.
that the idea of the ISWA factor too is there,
It's there too.
and not just the military.
Not just the two. I say
Because-
all of the factors are on play.
Because look at it, within a space of 2 weeks, if what the military is saying is anything to go by, 1,000 Boko Haram members, terrorists, surrendered.
That's a huge number.
That is, thank you. Then look at it this way: those who hold this line of thought that the terrorists are being displaced by the fact that a new set of terrorists with different ideology are in place, and then look at taking over the forest. And let me give you an instance. What number one, the ISWA, they don't believe much in that bloody killing, gory killing, the way
Civilians.
Secondly, they don't believe in much. They don't even believe in stealing. You know, these ones are an affiliate of international terrorism, and they have their sponsors. So they don't encourage all this stealing, break into people's community, steal their things, kill them. At the end of the day, even some of the Boko Haram members that are coming to surrender are confessing to the military that they don't even understand the ideology of this ISWAP. That is the feelers that are coming from there. Not as if we're just
even
speculating.
for me,
Mm.
even when all these issues go out, because theories go out, for me, killing is killing. These are non-state actors. They don't have the right to do whatever they are doing. In whose interest? When they displace the Shakao-led terrorists, in whose interest? Is it that of Nigeria or what? That territory that they are claiming, are they claiming it for who? So we should know that there's a dangerous, we are heading towards a more dangerous road than what we have now. If we've been contending with this man for more than 12 years, yes, it started in 2009, so till date, 12 years, and we're still counting. Then somebody that has international connection is now coming in to use the money that they generate from the Middle East to now fund their operations here in Africa.
And it will now take over. Those
ungoverned
what's
spaces,
happening.
those ungoverned spaces
The
that
place
we have.
where they used to stay, and now they're now adding checkouts group. I had thought that the Nigerians military would have cashed in on that disparity between them, that difference between them.
Of course,
You know?
that one is I believe they are doing that. They are experts. They should be doing that. I don't know.
But they need to continue fighting,
But of course,
among those two so that they kill themselves.
they are also smart. They know what they are doing. But I won't discuss their own strategy because I don't even know. I only want to.
But I expect that they're doing that.
I
Because
expect
I expect that
they
in
know the right
fighting
thing to do.
to face themselves and shoot
Of
themselves.
course.
And
They
leave
should
the
cash in.
remainder for us to clear.
They should cash in.
They should cash in on that.
Yes.
They're not doing that.
There
We're not ready to end the war.
are also feelers that the ISWAP is consolidating to ensure that it remains the only armed non-state actor in that region, in the northeast region. Then they take full control. And they say the idea is that after the rainy season itself, the terror war will be more tougher because based on how they are mobilizing now, it is not going to be easy. You agree with that, Taka?
Well, it has always not been easy. Anytime you interact with the guys in the front line, they will tell you it is not easy. And mind you, the terrain is very tough. the northeast terrain. Anytime you travel, you go around those places, you know that the terrain is not friendly. So trying to navigate those terrains, it's a big challenge for the military. You know, those guys have been in the bush, so they are used to that environment. You now bring somebody who has not been to this place. He has come, the terrain is so tough, it's not friendly. The equipment he has, they are not used to this kind of environment. You know, so military navigating that terrain is tough. But I believe with technology, of course, they'll be able to cover a lot of these ungoverned spaces. And Borno State, the Borno, they have a lot of ungoverned spaces. And it's not just Borno, even everywhere in Nigeria.
Well, let's look at this. What happened to those? Because there are some Nigerians who believe that the Super Tucano jet had been put to use already. That is why the onslaught is now becoming very fierce. Then the terrorists are not capable of withstanding the military gunfire fire again. What they took the Super Tucano jets, are they still waiting for inauguration?
Well, of course, the induction is supposed to be, I think, this month, towards end of this month. Then before the month runs out, there will be an induction ceremony. But mind you, the Super Tucanos on their own don't fight. What we need is the political will to actually go after those guys. Go to the terrain. Wherever they are, if we decide, yes, we want to fight this war to the finish, and we decide this is the time to do it, then, of course, it's not just the technology, the weapon. The weapons is one thing. The man behind the weapon is another thing. Is he determined to go after these people? Is there something discouraging him from going after them?
Sorry to cut you short. You see, I brought up when I spoke of this Super Tucano jet, I was talking of in respect of the
six
the terrain. No, the terrain. You say the terrain is very tough, and they said this particular fighter jet is so unique that it has the capacity to enter anywhere and destroy. So most Nigerians felt that it was because they started using them. That is why you see the military having an upper hand now in the anti-terror war. You understand? But is it wise that you should keep such weapons that are very useful for inauguration while we keep seeing abductions here and there? Some like the Islamia school children are still in captivity. Nobody knows what is happening. We had short video where they were flogging them, beating them, cutting them with knives, and then you are keeping a weapon that would have been useful no wait. I'm not. You will come. You will talk. To keeping a weapon that is very very vital to the fight, then waiting for date to be inaugurated, and then why must you even inaugurate them? Then you are showing the enemy that at so time I'm doing this, so time we've released it. But before we even discuss this one, I think we just have to take a short break. Hello, viewer. We'll take a short break for now. I will be back in a moment. Please, let him understand.
I will discuss with you.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back to Leadership Podcast. And of course, this is the big issue. And of course, the big issue of the day is the gale of surrender that is taking place in the northeast, where terrorists are turning in themselves to military authorities. As we're talking, like, why keeping this Super Tucano jets waiting for inauguration, and then you always make it a public thing? The terrorists will know that yes, this jet will come after it has been inaugurated, and then you think they don't have their own strategy?
Well, I am not the Air Force spokesperson, but to my knowledge, I feel these aircraft were bought with taxpayers' money. And of course, they want to really show the taxpayers, Nigerians, this is what we procured with your money. Look at it before we deploy them to the war front for the purpose they are meant. That is my own understanding of that.
So are you saying that the arrival of the jet into the country, which was well publicized in the media, was not enough for Nigerians to know that we've gotten the see what you use your money to buy?
You know,
Okay, you will
we've
now
had
sign your
we've had reports that we've procured new platforms, and at the end, you know, a lot of Air Force personnel, especially people who are supposed to be the ones fighting the war, will tell you there was a lot of window dressing. That it is the coming of the present president that the Air Force has actually started receiving new aircraft. And most of the aircraft that we see that were presented to Nigerians were not really new. These are things that keep coming up. So now I feel now and from so far from what I've gathered, about 26 new aircraft have been bought in the last 6 years. And a lot of them are performing various functions around the nation. You know, they have operations in the south, and then northeast, north central, almost everywhere. You know, so I feel they want Nigerians to see the aircraft. And of course, if you go to that place and you think this aircraft is not what is being talked about, of course, you will also have your opinion. A lot of people are saying there was a lot of window dressing. You know, the aircraft were not what they were being, you know, embellished,
speculated to be.
polished, or garnished to look like. But now they keep telling you in the last so number of years, in the last 6 years, we've had number of. And mind you, another good thing is that they've actually gone into unmanned aerial vehicles, which is the way to go. We've been advocating for technology so that we reduce the harm, the danger. A lot of women young ladies are now widows. You know, a lot of little kids have become orphans. Why? Because their parents are fighting a war that has refused to end. And what happens to the children or the wife when the man is gone? You know, we have issues of welfare. No matter how the military tries to take care of those things, there's no way somebody will replace your dad the way he should do. So
Well,
that's a serious challenge.
Kaka, thank you. Yeah, the Super Tucano jet, I asked this question because I thought just because they have even deployed them secretly, that is why we are having this a rush of surrender by the terrorists.
If they have done that, I'm not aware.
I mean, look at this. Within a space of 2 weeks, 1,000.
That's a big number.
It does
A
not
big
run
number,
in the
but-
time for nothing.
Yes, it's been on. No, we have already kind of hazarded why it's happening. We've gotten the angle of the discord between the two parties, two terror parties, the SWAP and Boko Haram, the Shekau, Let's Shekau, and the Banawi faction, and then the fact also that maybe the military ramping up into them. Okay, but I want us also be cautious. I want us to maximize. You know, we have very bright guys in the military. I trust that they maximize this opportunity to get all the information of the people who are coming in, debrief them, get all the information about the operational, you know, and use it to what? To go after people are coming. That was saying we need to know whether it's to the Sheikh House group that's running scared and coming in, or even up and around. If you get people from this area, the two of them, you can now project, okay, this is the operational mechanism of those two groups. You can now know how to tackle them.
Well,
Now,
I agree.
now we also be careful that you don't have people who are what I put them, who are coming there to get information from the military and send back to their people there.
There are saboteurs everywhere.
So also be careful that you don't have people who can put in their midst, so that I feel that I want to hold them, they won't be able to allow them to live. But,
Yes,
but these guys are smart too.
I agree with you, Silas, because wait, before what you say there is another line of thoughts Nigerians are carrying out there. That why why this idea of them surrendering, pampering terror groups that have killed so many is not going down well with the general public. It could be a tactic. Maybe there is a kind of tactic, the military, they are only allowing them to surrender so that they will not get another smarter way of fighting the war against terror. What do you think about it? I think there's a point, Silas.
In 2016, Operation Safe Corridor was introduced by the federal government to de-radicalize the surrender terrorists. Before the de-radicalization program, they will profile the terrorist. Once you surrender, of course, they are going to profile you. After interrogation, they will tend to know. Sometimes those guys even know themselves. I remember a soldier was even telling me in Baga 2018 thereabout that they were going fetching water from the same stream. The soldiers will come daytime and fetch. Then at night, the soldier does not go there because the bad guys have taken over that place. They are drinking. So they were actually sharing water from the same pot. He confided in me when I have robust interactions with them. I remember there was a time I brought a story idea to you and you asked me not to even try it. So those guys, the military, they are very smart. They know what to do. I believe what is lacking is political will
To fight the war.
Finish it. There are some people even accuse the military. Recently, the widow of one of the slain commander accused the military of the North of killing her husband for refusing to loot funds meant for the war. But the military came out to say no. He fought and died while fighting. And then benefits paid. That's what the military said. I don't know if she has also responded to that. I've searched today. I've been searching because the military said that yesterday. I've been searching to see if she will also respond to that, but I've not seen it from anywhere.
Well, good and fine. This amnesty for terrorists and the radicalization process, while it might have its advantage, and many feel that this is a tough sell for a government in a country where a 12-year war has led to the death of almost 35,000 or more people, and there are about 390 something victims. When you look at the wider humanitarian crisis, so at the end of the day, you think it's normal to grant amnesty to terror group.
So let me tell you something. If you sample opinion, those Nigerians are not buying into that idea.
No.
They are not. They are very, very angry because at the scale of terrible things that you have caused to people, just to people, to the military, to the nation. This is why they come to a place, gather 50 or 100 farmers and slaughter them. After eating their food, they slaughter them. These guys, I don't know the level of determination you can do to bring them back to normal. And for the society, they have wreaked that havoc on, accept them back. So what you may find out like you may bring them through all these things at them, and when they go back and they cannot fit in, they go back to their evil ways.
I don't even think there's a system to monitor them.
Yes. So how do we have a monitoring system, like I was trying to say that can check their behavior and whether they are right, whether they are, even if you give them to do this, because they are used to There was time it was said that they were being paid in dollars. Those who are fighting, they were even being paid better than soldiers. So those who have looted banks, looted shops, looted things, made big money from kidnapping, seen big money. How much if they now come to a normal terrain that you have to strike hard to get money, they don't get enough. You think they will stay? Could have learned the skills of warfare. They will transform to armed robbers, kidnappers, at the once they cannot, manage the normal system. So another thing I want to also say is that um, 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 those people who are surrendering, that I like what President Yar'Adua did at the time. He gave Niger Delta militants a timeline. On so and so date, if you're interested in surrendering, surrender. After this day, you move in. And before that day, you see how all them brought out their guns and brought down everything. So what the government needs to do, wow, should do is to, so if you want to do this kind of message, really, let's know that you don't want to fight again. Give a timeline. Look, I'll give you circulate to them because they also here. On so and so time, if you are still not surrendered, we are coming in and there's no chance. So take this window and take it. After this day, I'm done. And then those who have been surrendered, they should find a way to use them for the war, to finish the war too. Okay? No, let me allow you to say something.
Well, before you say something, I think what you said, I agree with you. Because most Nigerians are not happy about this amnesty and the radicalization of terrorists. But another thing, I heard the chief of army staff saying that it does not mean that these Boko Haram terrorists who are surrendering will not face prosecution. Of course, he said so. And,
It is not the military. The military does not have the prosecuting power by law. All they do is, since they are at the forefront fighting the war, once you surrender, the first person you meet is the military. They'll take you in, profile you, and then be able to tell prosecuting agencies this is the risk this person possesses. This person possesses so and so risk. This one is this one is that. And then after that, my problem is what system, even if you want to de-radicalize this person, do we have a system to monitor them when we reintegrate them into the society, which we know as a Nigeria, we don't have institutions that work. So that's a big challenge.
We lack the technology for such
If
surveillance.
that question is answered, I will be okay.
Yes, that's true. Okay.
So most of these people taken back to these societies, you don't have anybody to checkmate them in case they want to.
So, yes.
There's nobody monitoring their activities, so they can actually go back and become something else, like George said earlier.
Yes. Because what we are trying to say in essence, how can you, just like you say you want to tame a snake to become a domestic animal, then you bring that snake, keep in your house when you have children, and you allow the snake to be like pets, like dogs and cats. The snake will start moving. Then what is the guarantee that that snake will not bite your child or even yourself?
That's a big challenge.
Of course, because it's a wild animal.
I think that we don't have those. We don't have the system to monitor. What they do, they should keep them, put them somewhere, keep them inactive until the war is over. If they want to finish, like he said, there's a lack of political will to anyone.
Yes.
But if not, let them get all these guys, put them incommunicado somewhere, and make sure that they cannot go back to the system until the war is over.
Okay, Silence. Let's take I think we're beginning to see some comment there from our viewer. See, Stephanos Moses. He's saying that more grace to your elbows, the Nigerian Army Force. What did he say? It's hailing the military. Yes. And of course, we have Hamid Danladi, who is saying that inshallah, Nigeria shall soon be free of insecurity and bandits. I think what they're saying is that. And then there's David Paul here, who is saying those that are sponsoring terrorism, withdraw. Otherwise, you lost your investment because this is not working anymore. That is
that's a stand.
You can hear what Nigerians are saying out there.
So that those who are
sponsoring them, you better withdraw now.
People have been saying it. How are these people being able to get their money, okay, from our system, buy their guns, buy their weapons, operate, spend money within the terrain, and they're able to do that. And
Then imagine the kind of sophisticated weapons, and then they tell us that why
we need to cut off the source.
Most times they say why our
agencies
troops
are supposed to do that. Tell us where those people get their funds and everything.
They say why our troops are always running or retreating from the war, and they say it's tactical surrender. It's because the terrorists are more armed than our own troops.
I don't believe in the terrorists being more armed. I think it is the ideology behind his own motive. You know, you give a Nigerian, most of the troops they complain about welfare. Some of these guys are in the bush fighting, and they have a lot of family issues at home unresolved, and there's nobody their loved ones can rush to, and that this thing will be addressed. So what do you expect?
People have to be careful.
Nobody wants to die because yes, they will tell you join the military, but nobody joins the military. Actually, joins the military to die.
They want to fight.
They want to fight and retire. They want to fight and retire. Everybody wants to retire and enjoy the pension. Rest in your room. Discuss. Talk about the old memories.
Well, okay, viewer, that is the much we can take for today's edition of The Big Issue. And of course, we've heard it all, the gale of surrender in the Northeast. And of course, it is left for you to do your own interrogation and then decipher what the situation could be in that part of the country. Thank you once again for joining us in this program. And of course, I would like to say a big thank you to our in-house analyst here, David Takia. That was a good one. And Silas. Well, join us tomorrow, same time, for another edition of this program. For now, it's goodbye.
The Big